we are live. Alicia, welcome. Welcome everybody who's joining in, perhaps, or catching the replay. My computer is silly. So for those of you who are new here or didn't catch the recent one, today's conversation is really part of a longer conversation I've been holding and will continue to hold all month long around really just easing into the busier season of fall with intention and confidence and bringing some easefulness in, as this is kind of the busier part of the year for most people. It's a series that I have lovingly called Flow into Fall. So if you're not familiar with me and you're watching this, my name is Courtney. I am a holistic coach and a mama, and I am super lit up about supporting women in navigating major transitions such as motherhood. And so for today, I'm super excited because we have my friend and colleague, Alicia, here. Alicia is a certified functional health and wellness coach based out of Toronto, Canada.
Yeah.
She has a master's in exercise sciences, who supports women in identifying and strategically managing burnout, stress, and lifestyle. She uses self-discovery, nutrition, and communication tools to support her clients in not only overcoming burnout, but also buffering against it, kind of the preventative measures, and creating more life balance so they can live healthy, vibrant, and impactful lives. And Alicia, so burnout and like mental health was really one of our first points of connection. Alicia and I met through our health coach training program, ADAPT, which feels like forever ago. We connected. We connected with
so much.
It's crazy to think about. So we initially connected in a group setting with several women who were really all coming together with like similar interests in supporting women. And Alicia and I quickly realized that we had a lot in common and moved our connection more to like one-on-one. And now we've been exchanging like podcast link voice notes over WhatsApp. It's like the best pen pal relationship.
Yeah. Modern day. Yeah.
Yeah. So I am super excited to talk with you today, Alicia. I wanted to share this with you. I forgot to before we went on. I'm drinking a Olipop. Have you heard of this?
No.
Okay. I thought that you'd be interested because it's like all digestive health, like gut supportive. It's got prebiotics, but it's actually sweetened with chicory root instead of like a lot of drinks now are with stevia. So I'm really enjoying it.
I'm going to have to look it up. It's tasty.
Yes. Super, super tasty.
Also interesting that it's got prebiotics because most health products are marketed as having probiotics. So that's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was really on I still am on a kombucha kick, which is more probiotic.
Mm-hmm.
But this is like my other getting
You're balancing it out. You're feeding those probiotics with the prebiotics. I love
it. Exactly. Yeah. So Alicia, first, is there anything that I missed in your introduction? Is there anything that you'd like to share right at the top?
I think you covered most things. No, thank you for that. I really appreciate it.
Cool. So before we really dive into like the meat of meal planning, I'd love to hear from you, like personally, kind of, I'll ask you like, what are you harvesting this fall, or what are you looking forward to in the next few months?
Related to meal planning or
whatever. Or just whatever it is. What's coming up for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, July and August are prime time for like tomato season. So in terms of literally harvesting, I don't have my own backyard, but I live about 40 minutes away from my parents, and we're an Italian family. And so they've got this like luscious garden. I call it their farm. It's like literally like their backyard. It's not a farm at all. But when I go there, I just love like getting my feet in the grass and picking tomatoes and eating them from the vine. I'm meeting up with my mom later today, and she's going to have like a bucket of cherry tomatoes for me. So yeah, literally harvesting that from my parents' garden. And I have a few things on the horizon, like a new job starting soon. Certainly going to still be health coaching. That just something I love. I know you can really resonate with that as well. And Harvesting a new component of my morning routine. I've started to do some Wim Hof breath work and cold showers. And I know you and I can go on a huge tangent about morning routine, so I won't go there. But it's been really exciting to challenge myself via morning breath work and cold showers and notice the effects on my nervous system. So I don't know. Those are just some things I felt like mentioning right now.
Yeah.
And just it's always exciting to me to learn about new things and try new things, and go through courses where I'm being taught a new skill. So that's really infusing my life with really a lot of fun right now.
Fantastic, fantastic. Um, yeah, if anybody who is new to Alicia or I, when was that? Like late last year, we'll find
December.
it. Yeah, Alicia hosted a series on Instagram Live around morning routine, and I was one of her guests. So if you are curious about either of our morning routines or catching the whole series and getting lots of information there, yeah, we could go on a whole other conversation, I'm sure, about that. But today we'll focus on meal planning. As a side note, also, I'm so glad that you brought up tomatoes because that is Sienna's like literal favorite snack. Like she will just sit and eat like a whole thing of cherry tomatoes. Like she calls them natos. It's freaking adorable. So we've been growing them. Unfortunately, the like caterpillars, these like really annoying green caterpillars got most of our plants. So we'll keep
Oh
trying though. But it's
no.
like the best thing, like walking in your yard and like just picking fresh tomatoes, like, ugh.
Picking fresh potatoes. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, just right off the vine. They're so juicy.
Yeah.
Um,
Really sweet that to watch toddlers, because I have a 2-year-old nephew, and when raspberries were in season, he'd come to my parents' house, beeline to the raspberry bush, and spend like 10, 20, 30 minutes just picking and eating like nonstop.
adorable.
Like he knew when I go to like no one Nana's house, raspberries. Very sweet.
That is adorable.
Yeah.
Um, so, and congrats on the new job. And I'm just thinking about like in these next few months, we're similar in that you're going to be juggling a job and your business and your personal life. I am obviously a full-time stay-at-home mom, juggling my business. There's some changes going on with my husband's work situation. So I'd love to just hear from you in general. Like we'll dive into meal planning next more specifically, but what other tools support you in like staying inspired and motivated for taking care of yourself in those busier seasons?
That's such a great question. So I had mentioned a little bit like the morning routine aspect. I definitely tend to lean on my morning routine more when things are just intensifying in my life, or if I'm feeling a little bit more activated and like anxious than normal. Definitely needing to carve out that time. Even this morning, I had more to do because I've got an upcoming trip this weekend. And so I like, after 5 consistent days of doing breath work, I didn't do it. And it was just that reminder that when things are getting busier, it's an invitation to actually spend more time um, doing like grounding and nourishing and stress relieving practices where you can connect with yourself, feel out where you're at. So definitely trying to focus more on the morning routine. And like I said, adding more breath work. I tend to lean on journaling more when things are like intensifying. And so as I've been going through this transition, with leaving one job and starting another one soon, I've noticed there's a lot of things I'm grappling with. And so for me to get that down on paper has been really, really helpful. Um, I'm also just really noticing and valuing like having strong community in my life and connections, and really um, wanting to make a more concerted effort to continue to nurture and nourish the ones that are most important. I can tend to have like a lot of friends and be doing a lot of things. And I think as I'm like getting older and I don't know, just evolving, I'm noticing the importance of just having some really important friendships and relationships where like people will hold space for me to um, open up about, because I feel like I've been going through a bit of like a lull over the last few months, and to have those relationships where they're like, I love you no matter what, please open up to me. you can call me and just blurt out whatever you're going through. They're like, you don't even have to ask me what I'm doing, like how I'm feeling. So I think like really focusing on those relationships has been really important to me in this season of my life. And you know who the people are who offer that kind of friendship and support. And yeah, time with my nephew is really, really wonderful. So I think those are sort of the tools I'm leaning on. Always food and nutrition for sure. Like, I know we'll get into meal planning, but like breakfast is a big thing for me. I try to eat within an hour of waking just to calm down like my nervous system, like add fat and protein and carbs early in the day, so that my cortisol doesn't spike as an energy source. Instead, the food complements the cortisol spike in the morning. And so again, like when I've got a lot going on, I really try to make sure to nourish my body and mind via food and like really deeply nourishing foods. And I know that you can really relate with that. Yeah, so I think that's where I'm at right now with take my tools in terms of taking care of myself during this like busier season in this transition.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You mentioned a lot there, but I think it's really like the overarching theme is just taking those preventative measures. Like I heard you really mentioning that, like journaling and being able to process through things. And then the relationships is almost a similar thing, like just having like containers and spaces where you can communicate what's going on for you, what's coming up, and just staying really present with yourself is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
And you brought up
Yeah.
or is the technology, there was like a little freeze. Can you still hear me?
I'm going to just
Alicia. Give her a minute to come back on. Alicia, I don't know if you can still hear me or not. Well, while we are giving her a minute, I had planned to share this a little bit at the end, but just to reflect on something that Alicia mentioned around having that community, having that support, and spaces where you really can get like deep support, I think is something that I'm noticing coming up for a lot of people, that they're looking for deeper relationships versus kind of like that surface level thing. And so I will just share, oh, we lost her. Let's give her a few more minutes to come back in. Let me check and see. We'll just continue to hang tight and give her a few more minutes to join back in with us, because I know that she's got a lot of valuable stuff to share around that meal planning. But I will take this as an opportunity, since she went ahead and threw that out there, to share with you all that I have an offering that provides that community. If that is something that you're desiring, that you're looking for, this is my monthly membership, Northstar Collective. It's just a low cost monthly auto draft. And you get access to my community of women that are all working on self-development. We're all trying to hold ourselves accountable to being mindful, being present with ourselves, working on our emotions, regulating our nervous systems together. I provide a lot of journal prompts and opportunities for reflection. Oh, Alicia's back. I'll let you back in. I was just chatting, since you brought up the community, I was chatting about Northstar Collective briefly. I was going to save that for the end if we had time, but I'm glad that you're back. So I'll just continue talking about that for a moment, and then we'll get back to meal planning. So yeah, if this is something that you're interested in, Northstar Collective is a low-cost monthly membership. You get access to that community, and then I also provide monthly meditations that you get sent. You can have access to all of them, whether you want to use them right away. They're influenced by the full moon, so you could use them under that full moon or return to them whenever it feels supportive for you. And actually, Alicia is part of the Northstar Collective. So since we're on the topic, I'd love to hear from you how you've been feeling with that since you've joined.
Yeah, I was going to mention that I am a member of Northstar Collective. I'm so happy I joined. Um, One of the sort of standout meetings was when you decided almost like spontaneously, like a few days before, to hold like a group Zoom meeting. And somehow you were able to get most of us together, and it was just this beautiful, enriching conversation. I think we were talking about like the Leo season, and you provided some really great journal prompts. And I don't know, the community of women just felt really connected, and there's a really good vibe. And I always really appreciate the space that you hold, and I definitely also appreciate within the forum a lot of the questions that you ask. I'm trying to think of one of them that I really, really liked, but yeah, like you're just so great at getting people thinking and reflecting, and I really appreciate that about you. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I love being in the spaces and the containers that you create. Um, and of course, the meditations are wonderful as well. They're so easy to download and access. And just got such a calming, soothing nature. I did one that it wasn't necessarily really a meditation, but you were talking about um, uh, if you're, I think it was like a breath work thing or something where you kind of like move. Anyway, super, super valuable and really accessible in terms of costs. So I really value that membership.
Yeah, I'm so glad to have you there because likewise, like you're such a similar personality of being super reflective and engaging. And I know like you're contributing to what makes this group feel so safe and supportive for all of us. And I was going to say something else. Oh, about that meditation. That's something else that was really last minute. Like the whole thing of Northstar Collective is just having that community and having the downloadable meditations. But outside of that, it's really what you all are asking for. And so that's why I loved doing that Zoom hangout. I see us doing more of those in the future. And also these like shorter meditations of like really just quick tools for regulating your central nervous system, coming back to yourself, coming back to your breath. And yeah, that tactile one is a favorite of mine too.
Yeah, I loved it.
So let's return to meal planning. This is how our voice notes go too. We're always like bouncing around topics.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that like breakfast is super important to you, and I would imagine like timing your nutrition throughout the day sounds like it's super important as far as like keeping your hormones balanced and staying really energized and motivated to do the things that you do in your busy life. Um, what else feels like really important for you on a personal level around meal planning?
Um,
Like, what's your why?
my why. That's a great question. Yeah, I think that it's overcoming decision fatigue. Um, it feels like without meal planning every day, there's this like grind, this like mealtime grind that I call think, buy, cook. Like thinking of what I want to cook, going out and buying ingredients, and then cooking it. It's just like way too disorganized. And I just noticed at a certain point it was one of the top things causing daily stress in my life. And I was like, how can I get organized around meal times, specifically dinners? Like that was the point, the part of the day that was really stressing me out. And I can imagine that for parents with children or a child, it would be even more stressful, especially when you're dealing with like picky eaters and multiple people. And um, I think for me, I have a partner, and so considering like his preferences is very important for me as well, and sort of have to make compromises sometimes. But yeah, I would say just in like one word, it's mitigating decision fatigue. It just helps ensure that I'm eating well when I've planned my meals out, and I'm not like eating a lot of takeout or having something that's like fast but not nutrient dense type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, food is like such a love language. Like I think that it's important for all of us to have an idea around that like breakfast, dinner, but really or I mean breakfast and lunch, but really dinner is when families are really coming together or like in between activities and trying to just get like good meals in your family's bodies is so important.
Yeah.
Um, And so I can totally relate, like, that term decision fatigue. It's like, yes, that's it. Because when you're battling like different preferences and different, like, how much is this person going to eat, and all the things that you have to kind of calculate. So I know you have like a whole framework around meal planning. Do you want to just dive into that? Like, what do you want to share around your framework?
Yeah. I think the first thing I want to share is that, for those of you who are viewing and listening to this, I almost wonder, I wish I could ask you, like, what do you think about when you think about meal planning? And then I will follow that by encouraging you to consider that there are various different methods of meal planning. So I think a lot of people um, think of it as listing the days of the week and then listing your meals. And that is certainly a great way. And I also will be providing templates and worksheets that kind of align with that model. So you can easily fill out your meal plan for the week. But there are other ways. And I was really surprised when I was hosting workshops for corporations, for companies, employees. I asked them, like, which of these 6 methods like aligns with you all. And the one I thought would be most popular, and I'll mention it in a second, was never chosen. And some of the ones that I thought would be least popular were chosen. So it's always fun to hear from people's feedback. But I'm going to, for the sake of kind of like inspiring some ideas, I'll quickly list off like the 6 sort of types, if that's okay. And there's definitely more. Um, so first of all, a fully scheduled meal plan. And so this is where you assign a specific meal to each night of the week. And you can do any of these for just dinners or for breakfast, lunch, and dinner if you want like everything planned out. I tend to do it just for dinners, as I had mentioned. So fully scheduled, Monday is this, Tuesday is this, Wednesday is this. Then sort of like the next one is fully scheduled with themes. And this is what got me into meal planning, is I was like, okay, like meatless Monday, taco Tuesday, water Wednesday, so fish, Thai Thursday. Like I used alliterations, and my partner and I were using themes for like a year, and we loved it because it added even more organization and structure. We knew that on a Tuesday we were going to have tacos of some sort, and then it could be whatever kind of taco we're feeling.
Just
Then
as a quick note, like that, I remember when you were sharing about the themes on social media, and it just made my heart so happy. Like, it was so inspiring. And for
yeah,
anybody who is watching this, if you don't follow Alicia, she has a cooking show that she hangs out her stories and cooks, and the alliterations and just the stuff that you share is
yeah.
super inspiring. But I really like that idea of having the themes, because then when you're fully scheduling, like, it gives you kind of a template to follow, but it's not always the same meals.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, within like, let's say I said tacos or Thai or fish, like you can plug and play a lot of different things. So a theme can be related to cuisine. Like you might want to do like Tuesdays or Sundays are Italian, like Monday is Mexican, whatever. Um, or it could be like a type of meat you're going to cook with, or like soups on Mondays, casserole too. Like there's so many different ways to use themes and have fun with it. So
Mhm.
yeah, that was really, really helpful for us. Then the third sort of method is loosely scheduled. So this would be that you plan specific meals, but you don't assign them to a day of the week. That way, you're still getting all of your groceries and you have all the right things in your home. But you can kind of wake up that morning and be like, yeah, today I think we're going to make blah. And then there's monthly. So this would be like planning for the whole month. A few people I was surprised in my workshops were like, yeah, I would want to do this. So this would be really great for like, if you like going to, we have Costco here. I think you have Costco there, but
Yeah.
like, if you want to just like buy food in bulk and you've got a freezer and good fridge and whatever, a lot of space, like meal planning for the month could be a really great way to reduce the amount of grocery store trips you go on. It's not great if you eat a lot of like fresh produce and lettuce greens and stuff. You probably still have to go get that stuff. Um, Batch cooking. So this would be like cooking a huge batch of one thing so that you can have it multiple meals within the same week, or freeze some things. And then backwards meal planning. So this would be like going to the grocery store, buying either what's on sale or what's in season, bringing it home, and then figuring out what you want to make with all of that. But all of these would involve sort of like sitting down and planning it in advance, you know, on a Saturday or Sunday or whenever. So those are kind of like the types of meal planners, or the what I would consider like 6 main meal planning methods. And I'd be happy to hear any thoughts you have on that, or if you have like other ideas with respect to methods.
Yeah, I love how you like broke this down, because it's like forcing my brain to think about how I do it and like how I can improve my own process. And like I feel like I kind of bounce around between these, and I kind of mix and match them. So um one thing that really stood out to me as like something that I could consider trying is like that monthly plan, because we have a Sam's membership. We often buy our at least our meats in bulk ahead of time. Like we also tend to like buy a cow, so we'll have it all butchered, and we have that all in our freezer. So like I always know I have plenty of beef. But it might be interesting to like plan out a month in advance, because then like you just have, you have like an hour. Like how long would it really take? Like I'm gonna sit down and just be super inspired, have all this done, and it's like done for you for the rest of the month. Like you don't have to think about it. Yeah, at each week you're gonna probably look back at that and say, okay, which fresh ingredients do I need? Do I need to switch things around based off the schedule, what's going on? But I think that's super interesting. And then batch cooking, I used to do that quite a bit. And I think this is what I relied on, is that I could batch cook like bigger meals for dinner and then have plenty for leftovers for lunch. And I would keep leftovers in my freezer that I could always grab like in the following week. Like I just always had plenty of food. And what's happened is that my baby is now a toddler, so she's eating like a pretty full-size meal. Like that girl can eat. She does not eat a lot during the day, and at dinner she like chows down. She loves her protein, which is fantastic, but she's eating more. And then on top of that, my stepson is about to be 15. He's a growing boy. He's eating a heck of a lot more right now. So I'm like, I'm still batch cooking, but I'm not getting the same number of meals from it.
Yeah. People are like eating it fresh. Yeah.
Yes, which is great. Like I love that they're eating it, but like something has to shift if just having that like other like tools to fall back on.
And I think that if there was one thing that I would like to bring more of into my life, it would be batch cooking. Because I do find that when I'm not meal planning, and I don't like, you know, when I'm not perfect about meal planning by any means. I've told you that already. And so it'd be really nice to have like healthy meals already prepared in my freezer, just warm them up, because I do find that I often in those cases scramble and then just kind of like throw a bunch of stuff together and eat whatever. So yeah, I'm glad we're talking about this. It's kind of inspiring me as well.
Yeah, definitely. I'm curious, you mentioned like what was super surprising to you. It sounds like most people picked the monthly one, which you weren't expecting.
Most people picked loosely scheduled. So not like Monday we're having spaghetti and meatballs, but like spaghetti meatballs is gonna be this week. Don't know when. So more like that. And then some people, were into the backwards meal planning, and then some people the monthly. So, but like no one liked the theme. I was like, what is going on? This is like zero. I was like, how? I had like more slides about theme ideas, and I just skipped right past them. I was like, y'all don't care.
Okay, so I'll do like a poll for people who are watching this, because I'm super interested in themes.
It would really surprise me.
Yeah. To me, like that's going to bring in more creativity, because I get so stuck in like very similar meals that are just kind of like, like meat and vegetable, and it's just like wah, wah. But like a theme, I don't know, it makes it fun. Like then you can add in the theme music. Like there's so many directions you can take with it.
Yes.
With that in mind, like what else have you found, either from your personal life or talking with people in your workshops? What is like some ways to bring in more creativity to meal planning to make it more fun and inspiring?
Yeah, so I think this lends itself well to sort of the framework part that I was hoping to talk to a little bit. So, sort of like the actual steps to meal planning. Is it okay if I run through that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So I think I've dubbed this like the meal planning made easy framework. And so there's like 4 steps. There's the pre-planning, the meal planning, the grocery shop, and the post grocery shop. Those are sort of like the 4 key steps. And I really focus on the meal planning. But in terms of the pre planning, that's like find a date and time when it's going to work for you and your family to sit down for like 30 minutes or an hour if you're planning a whole month. And like, let's say it's Sunday afternoons and you're like, Sunday afternoon, 4:30, we're going to sit down and meal plan. Then starting, this is still under pre-planning.
Just real quick to say about that. That's so awesome to involve the family, because I think a lot of times we put that as like an adult task, or like, this is the thing that I'm responsible for.
Yeah.
Versus like making it something that the family can really come together and have a conversation around. And then people feel like the folks will feel more invested into that meal. Like, oh, this is what I picked tonight.
Exactly. Like, hey, you like telling your child, like, you told me you wanted this when we sat down and talked about it. So yeah, I think it's a really great idea. And it's something that I had to figure out too, because I was like, why is this falling on me? I want to involve my partner as well in this because he's eating the food as well. And so, yeah, figuring out a time that works for everyone in your family or whoever wants to be involved in your family.
Cool.
And then under the pre-plan as well, starting to make a master list. So starting to think about like which resources you want to use to find recipes and where you want to house all of those recipes. So I think it's really important to have like one place where you've saved recipes that you like, or so for example, I tend to bookmark recipes that I like. And so I can just go to my bookmarks. I get this drop down list of recipes. I also tend to use Instagram. I end up getting advertised so many different yummy recipes and I'll save them. And so that is also another like file or folder where I've got tons of recipes saved. That way, when it is time to meal plan, I like basically use that drop down of bookmarks or my Instagram saved file. Some people like to print things out and have like a physical recipe book. You can use a Google Doc or an Excel spreadsheet. There's so many different ways, but I would say have like that grand central station of like recipes area, an area where you have like all of your go-to recipes saved and that you can add to. And then I would
I'm so guilty of not doing that. Like, I have recipes everywhere. Like, I've saved them on Instagram, but I don't save them like in a special folder where I can easily go back to them. And like, yeah, such a good point.
And then I would say the third part of pre-planning is like choose a shopping day. So choose a meal planning date and time, then choose a shopping day. And then there's the actual meal planning process. So, you're sitting down in a comfy spot in your house. And so there's sort of, I guess I have like 4 simple steps for meal planning, the actual meal plan. So, first decide if you're going to meal plan just dinners or breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You can use the template that I'll be providing, or you can draw out a chart on your own. And then you're going to, this is really important, you're going to think about what your week ahead looks like. And so, if the kids have soccer on 2 days a week and then you've got appointments and whatever, you want to like cross out the meals that you don't need to have the nights or the days that you don't need meals for, or maybe you go into work a few days a week and there's like lunches there or something like that. So make sure that you're thinking about like what's coming up in the week so that you're only planning for when you need to have meals. And then
I love like my busier days. Like that. This is going to be a crock pot day. I'm just going to like put it in the crock pot in the morning, and I don't have to think about it. But I know like all day I have this like nourishing meal to look forward to.
Exactly. Yeah. And then you're gonna actually plan your meals. So this is when you're like gonna go back to your master list that I was talking about, and you're just gonna like plug and play, like either whichever meal planning method works for you. Like then you're just gonna list out meals that you want to make for the week. I also would advise you to think about like leftovers that you're gonna have, and I would also advise you to think about reusing like, let's say you've got a cabbage goes a long way for multiple meals. So what kinds of meals are, if you're going to buy a cabbage, like what are a few meals that use cabbage type of thing?
Mm.
And then, so I would call that like overlapping ingredients. And then you're going to create your grocery list. That's like the other step in the actual meal planning process is you go through each meal and recipe and you write out your grocery list. So then that leads us to the grocery shop, the third main step in the whole meal planning framework. And so you want to make sure you have a list. Try not to go shopping hungry. That's what we all hear. Marketing can be really tricky to navigate, but I would suggest, and I'm sure you would too, to stick with like whole foods instead of like packaged processed foods. And whole foods, I believe, end up being more cost effective than buying, packages of like I said, processed foods. Like buying a bunch of sweet potatoes or something isn't ultimately that expensive, or buying your meat in bulk.
I totally agree. I totally
Yeah.
agree. It's going to be much easier on your body and much easier on your bank account as well. Just shopping those outer aisles, and it's quicker. Like if I go to the store and I have to look for like, I mean, obviously sometimes you're going to have to go find like your salsa and like different things that you want to add in. And like, I always spend so much more time in the grocery store. But if I just know I need to go in, I'm just going to like go around the outside. I know my way around, and it's like you're in and out. It's time efficient, better on the body and the bank account.
You're right. What did you call it? The perimeter of the grocery store. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's where all the good stuff is.
That's great.
And then with grocery shopping, I would usually advise to shop like fresh, then frozen, and then like canned would be sort of like the third on the list. Frozen food is usually like flash frozen and often still contains a lot of the nutrients, probably sometimes more than fresh that's been sitting on the shelf. And then another thing that sometimes comes up is like, what do I buy organic? So if you're interested in this, if you're curious about it, then there's the Environmental Working Group has their like Dirty Dozen Clean 15 lists. And that kind of helps you know that you don't need to buy everything organic if that's something that you're concerned about. And then there's the post grocery store shop. This is like, um, you're going to get home and you're going to like, you can wash and cut and store things. So there's so many like food storage tips that allow you to extend the shelf life of mainly produce. So like with lettuce greens, like wrapping them in paper towel, with carrots and celery. I feel like a lot of us see this on Instagram, like submerging them in like a mason jar of water. So there's so many different ways you can store food, like I said, to extend shelf life. And
I think that is like beneficial on so many levels because it's extending the shelf life, and you're also like making it quicker when you do go to cook. Like your stuff's already clean, it's already ready to go, and like you can just kind of get going with the cooking process. It takes away that, oh, I got to go chop all these onions and do this and that.
yeah, totally. And if batch cooking is your thing, then you can literally like chop up everything and put them into containers and just have them super ready to go for the week. I've never actually done like that level of meal prep, but I'm trying to get better at like food storage and
It surprises me, Alicia, that you haven't had like a meal prep phase. Like,
I know. How about Courtney?
yeah, I definitely, there was a time in my life when we were batch cooking and like meal prepping everything. Like this whole process that you're describing was like our Sunday. Now, this was before I had a baby, so it was more realistic to like spend a whole day doing that. But also like the way that worked for us anyway, I know a lot of people have a lot of success with that for years, but for us, we would easily get into a rut, and like we were eating the same meals all the time. And it's just like, my husband still won't eat Brussels sprouts because we were eating the shit out of them before. So yeah, it definitely lost its like creativity and fun for us. But I do still like, so what I like to do is I'll like bring my produce home. And most of the time when I'm done grocery shopping, like I'm done. I just need to like put it all away and then do whatever I need to do at the house with Sienna, with whatever else is going on. But then when I go to cook, so I'll like chop up what I need, like half of an onion for this meal, but I'll continue chopping the rest of it. So it's like a little treat. Like tomorrow when I cook,
Yeah.
I already have that onion chopped and ready to go.
Yes, I love taking care of future Courtney. So those are like the four main steps within my meal planning made easy framework. There's, like I said, the pre-planning, the meal planning, the grocery shop, and the post grocery trip. And yeah, like hopefully it feels pretty simple and easy. And I think the best meal planning method is the one that you're actually going to do. But I would be curious to hear from whoever is watching about what is resonating with you. And I don't know if like there's a comment section or some way we can hear back, but that would be awesome.
Yeah, I definitely invite people to leave comments and we will respond to them and hang out there.
Yeah.
This was so useful. Like I took so many notes. There's so much to like carry forward. And I love that you like have those worksheets to give people kind of a guide and a template to work from. I think that this is super supportive.
Oh, thank you. It's my share and to remind myself about the importance and value of meal planning. I seriously think it is such a time saver and like a stress reducer. So if you haven't tried it before, I encourage you to, I don't know, maybe think about if the timing's right anytime soon to give it a shot and think about what that's going to look like for you.
Yeah.
Not you, but
yeah, and I love how you put it. Just the best way is what's going to work for you. And that's the thing, is that we're all different and we all like, it's what is going to work for you in this particular season of life. I think that we can really get attached to routines and this is what works for me. And so I'm going to continue doing it, but really taking a look at what is going on in your life right now. What does your schedule look like? And what are you going to stick to right now?
yeah.
Because that's, I think, how people get stuck in ruts and then just throw it all out the window altogether.
Yeah, and I think that's why I wanted to offer like multiple different like methods or styles of doing things, because it's not one size fits all, especially when you have to consider size of family, age of children, busyness of weeks. Like I think you can find a meal planning method that just works for you and your family.
Yeah, awesome. And Alicia, I'm just understanding correctly, you are wanting to share these worksheets with viewers for this video?
Yeah, I'm not sure the best way to share via this platform, but I sent you the PDF. So
okay. So I have them. I will link them in so that way folks can download those.
Yeah.
Super generous of you. I feel like this is like such a steal. Like you put so much heart into preparing all of this information, and I'm so grateful.
Yeah, I feel like I've been a bit disconnected from this world. I haven't delivered a workshop in a few months, and so it's been really fun to dive back in. And I've appreciated our conversations leading up to this, and you obviously always prompting me. You're really great at prompting me to reflect on things and think about things, like think about what I want to bring to this. And so, yeah, it's been a really great experience. And I really hope that whoever has been watching does walk away with some golden nuggets from this. And feel free to get in touch with me if you'd like. My Instagram handle is at Alicia M. Luciani. And yeah, this was great, Courtney. Thank you for having me.
Perfect. Yeah, I was going to ask that. So thank you for providing that to get in touch with you. Instagram is going to be the best format for that. Like I mentioned earlier, please follow her page if you're not already, because the cooking show alone is fantastic. But you're also always sharing such educational resources on your page. And I always feel inspired and motivated. So definitely give her a follow. What ways can people work with you?
So I offer one-on-one health coaching services, as well as if you work for a company where you think that they want to focus more on health and well-being, I do offer workplace wellness workshops. And one of the workshops does cover a lot of this content. It's about meal plan. It's like a meal planning masterclass. And I actually carve out time in that workshop to allow participants to knock out a meal plan like live, and then we talk about it, and people talk about like meals that they came up with. And so it's really the workshops are interactive and fun. So yeah, the workplace wellness workshops and one-on-one sessions are what I'm offering right now.
Great. Great. Thanks for sharing that, Alicia. And I already shared about Northstar Collective. I appreciate your input around that too, Alicia. I also offer one-on-one coaching, and I will be doing more groups in the future, probably getting started early next year. But yeah, this has been so much fun. Thanks for hanging out, Alicia. And we'll talk soon.
Definitely, I'm sure very soon.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Okay, ciao, ciao.